New evidence shows that there is severe abuse of inmates with mental illnesses in South Carolina prisons, and this is something that a circuit judge by the name of Michael Baxley just recently ruled on. The story is really, really difficult to read about. There have been a number of people who have faced very, very hard to believe abuse. Jerome Laudman, who was a schizophrenic inmate, was actually held in solitary confinement while he was completely naked. He was sprayed with chemicals. He was physically abused by correctional officers. It had gotten so bad that he stopped eating and he stopped taking his medication. He was sick and he was weak. At one point, he was sleeping in his own feces. There was 15 to 20 trays of moldy food in his cell. And when authorities finally decided, hey, you know what, he's kind of vomiting nonstop, we should take him to the doctor, he immediately died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
So that's just one story. And it's something that the circuit judge had to take a look at and make a ruling on. And here's what he had to say. He said that the case was the worst he had seen in his 14 years on the bench. And also he said the prison system's mental health treatment is inherently flawed and systematically deficient in all major areas. So just to give you another example, in one instance, blood pooled beneath an inmate held in a restraint. In another, an inmate's intestine was protruding from his abdomen as officers tightened restraints surrounding the wound.
That's pretty awful.
This is what's happening in our prisons right now.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why our recidivism rate is through the roof.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we've said many times, philosophically, we view prisons as just a place to put people so that we won't have to deal with them. We don't see it as a way to possibly reform them as they do in some European countries where they have much lower recidivism rates. We see it as a place to just get rid of them, or even better, we can punish them by making it absolutely horrible. But we see that doesn't actually make our society better, that it just leads to people coming out of prison hardened, unable to get a job, unable to vote, obviously, in many cases, and just worse people in general, and yet we continue it because I think for many of the people who are making these laws, conservatives are setting up a system, it feels good to punish these people.
Yeah, it's more about punishment. Everything that we do in our justice system at this point seems to be punitive as opposed to rehabilitating people. And when you look at the way Nordic countries handle their justice system, I mean, I have to say, when I first read about it, it makes me a little uncomfortable because when someone breaks the law, when someone violently breaks the law, you want some sort of revenge. You want them to be punished. But the reality is, why would you want to waste your taxpayer money on keeping someone in prison or having someone get arrested, detained, sentenced to something, and then they get out, and then they do it again, and they do it again, because the system is set up in such a way to make sure that they come back, right? And of course, with private prisons, we have a profit motive now to keep people locked up as long as possible. But I don't want my taxpayer dollars going toward that. I want to help people. I want them to be great members of society, right? But another thing that we do that's wrong is after people serve their sentences and they try to integrate back into society, we still look down at them. We continue to punish them. We make it extremely difficult for them to get jobs.
Yeah.
So the entire system is totally screwed.
Putting them in an even worse situation where they're more likely to resort to criminal behavior. Yeah. But no, it's sad. I hate that this story has to be a downer. Well, I mean, obviously, naturally, it's going to be a downer, but we live in a country where a significant portion of the population has no problem whatsoever with paying whatever X amount of dollars to keep people in prison for the rest of their life, but does have a big problem in paying food stamps so that children can actually eat a meal. And they are somehow able to console themselves or to mesh those two things. Maybe mental illness goes deeper than just in our prison system. Like maybe naturally a big portion of our country is sick in some fundamental way that they view their fellow humans in an absolutely horrible way.
And also, if you genuinely care about the mental health of people in the country, and it turns out that we never really care about that unless there's a mass shooting and we want to, take attention away from our ridiculous gun laws, right?
Or the political books that he owns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, forget about those.
Yeah, we just want to focus on, the mental health and the video games. That's the only way that we can prevent any mass shootings, right? Well, if you really genuinely care about mental health care, you as a politician, especially conservative politicians, should be doing something about this story in South Carolina where the mentally ill are being severely abused like this. You should increase funding for mental health care in the United States. But is that happening? Hell no, that's not happening. We continue to shit on people that need our help the most, and it's disgusting. And the more you read about our justice justice system, the more you realize that, hell no, none of this is about rehabilitating people. It's all punitive. It's all about punishing them and putting them in the most degrading situations possible.